So hopefully we have ourselves a nice little bit of racing on our hands here tonight. Should be pretty interesting. Those corners offer a lot of opportunities for overtaking. Of course, a big shout out to the OEM boys for having to put up with all the shit this week. Certainly not what they wanted to be seeing at all. But here we are then on the gates for the Seattle Heat 1 for the 250 West. Welcome back to the 250 West riders as well. They haven't been riding for, well, 3 or 4 weeks now, I think. It's been a fair while. Actually, more than that. It's been a little while for them. A lot of them have obviously been riding the 450 class. But here we are then, starting off the night here tonight. Who's going to pull that whole shot? Looks like we've got a Husqvarna breaking off nice off to the start here. But it's going to be Franklek that dives down the inside. And Pumpacassu snatches away the whole shot there. And indeed, the racing lead alongside it. Getting up and onto those tables nice and early with the 250s. A few bikes going down in that first corner. Like we say, these corners extra rough this week. And many, many more line choices. So it's going to provoke some interesting opportunities for overtaking a little later on in the moto. We'll check it out though. Pumpacassu, look at this, absolutely storming lead here, roughly a second and a half as you come through the super duper long whoop section tonight. I forgot to count how many there actually are, but it's a very long section indeed. Redo there, just checking over his shoulder, having a look back at what I can only assume is Spocket here on the JP Designs, KTM, sorry, my apologies. It's been a few days, let me get my head straight. Spocket then holding on up pretty nicely here for the P3 spot at the moment. Looks like the battles are between P4 and 5 and 6. Indeed, Willie coming around the outside. These boys are going to both get collected. No, Janick managed to find his way past Henry. And it's a nice little time indeed. Ardog then trying to close in on the KTM just behind the Suzuki here. Always nice to see a Suzuki up in the field though. A little bit of variety in the field never hurt anyone, did it? Having a pretty decent start here as well. Currently holding on to that P5 position. Pumpacassu still leads the moto by, well, not as big as the gap looks, I don't think. Looks around to be around a second, showing 2 seconds on the timing gate though, so we'll see how that updates throughout the rest of the lap. Redo then holding on pretty nicely here, nice and stable there through the whoops, a little bit of a jump towards the end, but of course, with such a long section, it's very, very easy to lose the momentum. What is the cutoff? I completely forgot. My apologies, my apologies. You'll be able to find it on the MyMXP site though, if you need to. Ardog here, just ahead of Janick. Janick trying to close in then back on the Jibiko Suzuki. Can he try and snatch back this P5 position? It's going to be a tough one. We've got HM just behind by the looks of things. Closing in there on the OGR KTM. Makes his way through and past the Suzuki after Janick unfortunately has a bit of a moment there. Spocket losing some time as well here and risking losing the podium to Ardog. Ardog currently sitting in P4, Spocket for P3. So this has now become a 3 to 4 bike battle for the P3 spot on the podium. 56-1 for 250, that is quite a fast cut-off, to be fair. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting night here tonight. Hopefully we get some... Oh, dear, the Ardog's having trouble. That is not what we wanted to be seeing. An unfortunate situation there for the KTM. That is not ideal at all, not ideal at all. Spocket having a bit of a wonky time through the whoops there, but holds it together and maintains his P3 position on track, at least for the moment. HM here, though, trying to change that on his OGR KTM. Very nice here this week. Can we find our way through that corner in particular? Very interesting. I'm not 100% sure what is the actual fastest line through that wonky singles corner. I don't really know what to call it. But yeah, it's an interesting section of the track. So we'll see over the course of the night, of course, how quick the various lines are. Hopefully, as we get some more bikes closing in with each other at some point throughout the race. And Marshall here currently holding on to P4. After a little bit of a rough start, held it together though towards the end of the moto here. Of course, it's the top 9 making it through to the main event here tonight off the heat. Of course, the rest of them are going to be going into the LCQ if they don't make it in that top 9 spots. So we're going to have a pretty interesting battle on our hands here in that P9 and 10 spot at some point in the very near future. Yannick currently in P10 on the timing gate, step up there just in front. Franklek getting overtaken by the Honda actually. Cheeky little pass there for step up, nicely done indeed. Franklek had nothing really he could do to contend with that. Yannick getting a bit wonky here through the whoops. An unfortunate situation for the Suzuki. Timson though on ELG Husqvarna trying to close up the gap here. We saw him pull a fantastic lead there at the start, but just outbraked himself a little bit into the corner there and didn't quite manage to pick up that whole shot. As a result, now fighting down in the P12 spot. Let's see if we can try and recover that. That's a huge crash there. Mac Burdett, Henrique manages to find his way through. Step up seems to have been collected as well, but manages to come off not too bad in the grand scheme of things. Franklek coming side by side here with the Honda on the outside. And they do collide. An unfortunate situation there for Henrique. He comes off much, much worse, but manages to rejoin reasonably nicely there. He got away with it. I have no idea how he managed to survive that. But fair freaking play. Franklek coming for the big lions here on the KTM. Manages to get his way underneath the Vital MX Honda, which is a very nice move. But yeah, these split sections coming into the rhythm sections make it very, very interesting. We've got a lot of line choices here on the circuit here tonight. So it's going to make some things happen. And of course, these ruts going to be interesting to see what happens as the road develops a little later on in the main events. Being second to the outside line in that corner? Potentially. I'll have a little look-see here shortly. This is the corner in question. It does seem like that outside to inside is a very preferable line, but is the drive that you get, or the lack of a drive I should say, worth it? Because it looks like this pack of bikes here did actually catch up with going around that outside line, so I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm going to have to do some more science at some point. Oh, I'm not sure who that was. I think it was Step Up. Having a tough time there on the nose wheelie down the wall. That's not ideal at all. But managed to maintain his position. Unfortunately, has lost it while I speak about it to 2 KTM, which is not the ideal situation at all. Down here in P9, that's Mac Birdie. He's made his way up through, I believe, into the safe space. Lovely stuff indeed. Step Up and Yannick then looking to try and close onto the back here. He's been collected. Not a good situation at all. We'll see Step Up manage to find his way through there. Be interesting to see where this timing comes out towards the end. Pompacassu, though, an absolutely fantastic moto here so far. 11.5 seconds ahead of the field here in Heat 1 as well. So looking to put on some really impressive performances a little later on for the main event, hopefully for us tonight. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to make that. Marshall here as well on Solitude Visuals bike. Been putting in a pretty solid performance here tonight. Found his way through a fair bit of traffic there at the start of the race. Managed to break free, and that's that pretty much. HM, same deal. He's been P3 since roughly 2 to 3 minutes within the race. It's a very, very nice moto so far here tonight. We are on our final lap with the leader, so we're going to check it out with the leader. And once we have our podium, we'll jump straight back down to that P9 and 10 spot for the battles, for whatever it's called, the safety, the thing, the words that I can't remember. Deary me. Here we go then, getting his way past the blue flag bike here, finding our way into that rhythm section once again. A little bit of the case there as we double our way in, not quite making his way to the table. The blue flag bike just unlapping himself temporarily then, forced to let the leader through though. Pompacassu's lost that 10-second gap. It's now just 5.5 after that previous crash. We really can't be affording this. This is not a good situation at all for the 7-Eleven Racing leader. Marshall coming in the P2 spot, looking to try and snatch that victory out of it. Just a couple of seconds behind the leader now. One more crash like that and that could spell disaster here for the KTM. But it looks like he's going to hold it together, provided we can get around this final corner in one piece, and it looks like we do. Across the finish line for P1 then. A very well-deserved victory here tonight for Heat 1. Marshall then picking up P2, and Spocket on the JP KTM would have picked up P3, but instead it's going to go to HM on the OJR KTM. A fantastic last minute pass then, and a super unfortunate miss out on the podium there for Spocket, but he still makes it through into the main event. Checking back down with this positional battle then. Looks like Step Up and Willie P8 and 9, so they're not too big of a deal, and Yannick's got a pretty decent gap there to P9. That is really not good. I saw that crash. That was... wow. I have no idea who it was, but that was certainly not ideal at all. Yannick having a tough time on the Suzuki there. Doesn't look like he's going to be making it up into the cut-off here tonight. Mac just a little bit too far back as well here as Step Up comes up and over the line on the Red Tail Racing Honda to finish off the first heat of the night. So it's top 9 then, going to be making it through. We'll finish off the rest of the riders here just as they come on through. But it's Pompacassu in P1, Marshall for P2, HM for P3, Spocket for P4, Redoot for P9, R-Dog for P6, Franklek for P7, Willie for P8, and Step Up for P9. Everyone else, of course, making it through into the LCQ here tonight, and going to have to try and get the top 4 in that next moto in order to try and make it through into the mains. Of course, we are going to go watch the 450 LCQ, so we're not going to see these guys particularly get into that main event, but we'll see them in the main after the LCQs. You know the drill. They do it every week. It's a fun time. Let's go. Checking out the fastest laps real quick here in the first heat for the 250 class. We've got 53.852 there from Franklek, the fastest man on field, and the moto winner there of Pompacassu with a 53.892. So just 400ths of a second there behind the fastest man on the field. So very, very good pace and very, very good consistency here tonight from Pompacassu. And we're looking to hopefully have a pretty impressive performance. Here we are on the gates. The engines are up and we are ready to race. Here we are then for 450 LCQ, just before the main event start here tonight. Let's see who can make it in. It's the top 4 are going to make the cut. Who's going to pull the whole shot though? It's going to be AK333MX on the K-Dog Racing. KTM, sorry, my apologies. And a bit of a brain fart there, but it looks like Eurus on the Bird Moto Husqvarna, an absolutely storming guy, finding his way through the pack nice and early on there, and actually manages to secure the racing lead here in the first half of the first lap. Very nicely done indeed. Just locks it off there in front of the KTM. What a lovely battle. I might actually follow these guys with the camera just for a little moment. See if we can get something nice and juicy. Try and keep P2 and 3 in there as well, because Oleroy and Paco having a fight for P3. Sorry, my apologies. P3 and 4 is what I meant to say. The fight for the lead, though, is real. Got a lot of things going on. A lot of the guys that had some early race incidents, obviously getting caught up at the back of the field here. The top 4 is where it's all at. Deary me, we're gonna switch over to the regular cameras because my brain is not smart enough to keep moving the cameras and talk at the same time. Bacon Cupcake commentary is S tier. Let's go. Big fat W's. All you're missing is some brown sauce. Anyways, Eurus then having a fantastic start to his LCQ here tonight. Oleroy on the BCP KTM looking to close in and secure that win as well. Of course, just being in the top 4 is more than enough. And for now, AK333MX has just been pushed out of that position down into the danger zone here tonight. I believe Oleroy Is he P2 or P3? Where's Baboom? Alright, the Baboom thing is lying to us. I'm not sure why he's showing P2 on the track, but there you go, he's moved down. Ignore that. Oleroy has a huge crash there, and it looks like Billy and Espro make their way through then. The Fusion Racing Husqvarna trying to show a wheel there to the Alpine Co Racing KTM. Just a little bit of a tough little situation there. Oh, whoa! What happened with Tom there? Where was he coming from? I might need to do a little bit of investigating there. Give me a memento, please. Sorry, my apologies. I've gone back a little bit too far there. Yeah, he just went flying and then looked the wrong way when he was crossing the track. An unfortunate situation then. Certainly not ideal at all. Eurus then still managing to lead by 6.5 seconds now as a result of the unfortunate crash there for P2 and 3. Oleroy and Billy then scrapping out now for that P2 position we just mentioned. 2 KTMs now. Just meters away from each other here as you come through the rhythm section. Oleroy gets a rough run there and Billy sends it for the triple. Very nice move there for the KTM, and he finds his way into the whoops. Pretty stable through there, but it looks like Oleroy got a better run there. Yoda not too far off the background there as well. Currently in the P4 position and currently in the safe space. Let's see if he can make it through and transfer up into that main event here at the end of the night. We've got AK333 with a little bit of a gap here to the friendly transfer spot. Freitas leads the field here at the well, I guess it leads the field of the rest of the people that aren't in the top 4, because these guys are having a nice time, except for now, where Billy, Oleroy, and I believe Yoda was involved in that in some way or another. Whether he made it through, had to weave past them, or whether he caused it, was just involved. Who even knows anymore? He's having a tough time here. Down to P3 now as a result. Freitas, I believe, closing in and now in the P4 spot, found his way past Oleroy, which is a lovely little position then for the tryhard KTM. He's going to want to try and secure P3 now and hold on to that top spot. See if he can obviously bring himself into the main event here tonight. That is what the name of the game is. Here in the LCQ, only that top 4. Billy then now at threat losing P2 as well as Yoda and Freitas try and close their way up. Down the inside for the tryhard KTM, a very aggressive move, but it is the LCQ. We make it through with neither bike going down. Lovely stuff indeed. Super aggressive here. Unfortunately, he's blown the inside rut there. The Yoda and Oleroy will re-secure the position, putting Freitas back down in the P5 position now, and looking to try and scramble up onto the back of the pack once again now to make it up into the main event, of course. Billy there just trying to scramble away from Yoda here, getting as much traction as we can there on the Alpine Co KTM just up in front. Yoda having a very nice time, those who come up and onto the table. Can we send the big triple? Yes, we can. Lovely stuff. Yet to see anyone pull the big quad lines at the moment. Eurus having a tough time through the whoops there. Not entirely sure what happens with our racing leader, but he's lost a fair bit of time there as a result. Easily a good 4 seconds or so. So we'll see that gap close up here very shortly. Yoda just about holds on to the KTM. My goodness me, I have no idea how this man's alive. Kept the rubber side pointing down, and it just somehow worked. We'll take it. We'll absolutely take it. Yoda then currently in that P3 spot. Oleroy in a P4. Freitas closing up now on that tryhard KTM, looking to try and make his way through, of course, at the end of the motor here. Just a couple of laps remaining for the chances for Freitas' LCQ event here tonight. Can he get it through? This is the transfer spot chase. This is P4 and 5. And they're having a nice little battle. Unfortunately, Freitas has a little bit of collision there with the front end. And we're looking okay for now then. 4 Oleroy holding on to the position for the moment. On the last lap, we'll check out with the leader for just a little moment, and then straight back down to the rest of the podium positions, of course. But yeah, we in the LCQ. It's just the top 4 chase. Easy mistake and a maker. Oh, he's got all sorts of wrong. How is he alive? Absolutely no idea. That's what separates the pros from the rest of us, man, is just the consistency, the ability to regain control of the bike. Unfortunately, that kind of contradicted what I said there. As we come on to our final lap, all the way now down into P5 and not safe. Needs to find his way back past Freitas, and we might actually not have a lap with the leader for the moment, and we shall just stick with these guys. Fuck the person to push me off the track. Must have left because of anger. Rip. R.I.P. Not good at all. Oh no! That looks like Oleroy's chances of the main event here tonight seem to be gone with the positions that he's losing here and the time. My goodness me, that's a disastrous place to crash. What an unfortunate moment. Regardless, though, we have Eurus coming through, looking nice and smooth then on the Bird Moto Husqvarna. We'll check back in with Freitas, make sure he's not got any too close to him before we carry on with the leader. Oh, looking nice and smooth. So across the line then comes the Bird Moto Husqvarna. Very nice stuff indeed, with the 360 backflip. Let's go. Just whips it out of the bag, literally. Yoda then for the P2 position, Billy on the Alpine Co KTM for P3, and Freitas on the Tryhard KTM will also make it through into the main event here tonight. Ulrich then, unfortunately, after that crash, is not going to make it through into the main event, but he does manage to re-secure P5, so a respectable finish then, and re-securing the 2 positions that he lost in the second half of the last lap. How did he manage to pull that off? What a cheeky guy. Regardless, though. So the top 4 making it through: Eurus, Yoda, Billy, and Freitas. We'll be seeing those boys up in the main event. The rest of the guys, unfortunately, didn't make the cut. And hopefully we do see them next week. Looking nice and smooth then. We're going to check in real quick with those fastest laps here for the 450 LCQ. It's a 53.0, so it's very similar times to the 250 main, or the 250 heat, sorry. Let's see how everyone gets off then here to the start of 250, the main event here in Seattle for round 11 of the Aerial Supercross season. Let's get it going then. Down to the gates and off we are. Back here again for the 250 West after a long old break between their last races. Oh, Ridu has a big crash there, a bit of a front tuck, an unfortunate situation. Tommy Wack pulls the whole shot by ½ an inch by the looks of it. Yoku super duper close behind it. It does manage to secure the racing lead just at the start of the motor here. So we're going to have a very, very interesting night here tonight with the 250 boys. Let's get straight into those TV cameras so we can keep the action running. Marshall then currently in P3, I believe, onto the back of Tommy Wack, the privateer KTM here, currently coming through the whoops. The Solitude visual bike looks like he might be getting a very, very similar run actually. It was almost identical. Bumpikasu having a phenomenal run there through the outside line as well. Might be managing to find his way up onto the podium, and he does indeed. Finds his way into P3 very, very early on. Could be looking at another cheeky win here for him if he can find his way through. An unfortunate situation there for CJ on the iSpec Racing KTM. Thankfully, he manages to maintain control of the bike and gets back into the track without too many major issues. Marshall here still holds P5. A little bit of a fight here behind. We've got Ryan and Frankelek in the battle for P6, I believe. There's the Tor Husqvarna, sorry. Having a pretty nice time here. Lets Frankelek through on the inside there. He'd rather not have the collision, stay upright and get him in a little bit later. That's some good racecraft there, some good situational awareness as well. I know plenty of riders that would just carry on, blat, dead. And then be like, why did I die? This is Amstel Pro, this is Pro 250, yes indeed. And then we'll be going to the Pro 450 and then moving over to the AMS a little later on in the night. Here we are, the Yoku's having a fantastic start here at the front of the field. 1.1 seconds there ahead of Tommy. Tommy versus Pompikatsu is the battle to watch here at the moment in the fight for P2. The privateer KTM then trying to close his way into that P2 position. Pompikatsu trying to snatch it away from him. It's going to be a tough situation here. Big old sends from the 250s up at the front of the field here. Just stretching their way up and over onto the table. Triple in, little single into the next corner. He sets up absolutely beautifully for the on the outside of that corner. Very nicely done indeed. Yoku can just watch him sail by the outside of him. What a pass. Unfortunately, he does have a slight collision there with Tommy Wack as Tommy has a front end wobble and goes off and crashes as a result. Not ideal at all. CJ and Marshall here then starting to close that gap up as an immediate result of that. We'll check back in with the P2 bike here at the moment. Looks like he's doing it pretty nicely. In fact, he's P1, sorry, my apologies. Yoku down into the P4 spot according to that timing gate. Certainly not what he wants to be seeing at this point in the moto. Tommy then leading the field just ahead of Pumpkinsu. Pumpkinsu having a very, very nice time. Currently holding on for P2, just ahead of CJ on the iSpec KTM. See if CJ can find him a cheeky little silver medal here. It's going to be a tough time. Pumpkinsu checking over his shoulder there as he scrubs up and over onto the table. Very nice stuff indeed. Tommy, though, having a fantastic start here tonight. 3 seconds, sorry. 3.3 seconds to P2 there, according to that previous timing gate. He is absolutely storming here on that privateer KTM. I'm looking to try and make some waves here in those championship points. We've got Pumpkinsu in the P2 position here, and Yoku closing in for P3. He said these boys would be up there, and certainly up there they are. Very nicely done for Tommy here. Holding that 3.5 second gap for now. We've got Yoku closing in for that P2 position. He wants it. You can almost smell that P2 here. He's still got 11 minutes to make it work. And of course, if we get by early, he's straight back on the defence. Where is Aqua? I have no idea where Aqua is, Cam, and I was quite disappointed to not see him here because he is, of course, holding the red plate currently in 250 West. I'm not sure if he's clear that he can miss a race and hold. I would need to double check the results on that myself. I think he's got to be pretty close to that situation. But yeah, not super ideal. Oh no, the two leading bikes collide and crash with each other, allowing Marshall and CJ up and through into P2 and 3. Pumpkinsu manages to re-secure P3 there on a bit of a surgical recovery run. Holding on to the podium for now, trying to find his way back past the Solitude Visuals bike. It's going to be a tough time though. Marshall straight to the outside line there, blocking him off. Over that finish jump we go. Pumpkinsu lands nice and early, gets to the outside really early, straight into the inside position on this corner, dominates that corner all the way through. Very nice positional pass there. We've got Marshall here defending now from CJ. A little bit of touch between the two. Marshall unfortunately does go off but manages to maintain control of the bike and therefore holds the position. CJ still looking to try and get his way up and onto that podium once again here tonight. The iSpec KTM had a little sniff at glory and he wants some more. He's to the outside now, Marshall though, on that defensive inside line, cuts it through for that block. Looks like CJ went for the triple, couldn't quite stretch it out. Marshall also has a bit of a case, and Yoki will take the P3 spot ultimately, getting the double pass done through that rhythm section. Very nicely done indeed. Into this really, really long whoop section. Definitely quite difficult for the 250s to maintain their momentum through there. And a very, very spectacular crash there in the background for CJ on the iSpec KTM. Not what you want to be seeing, but it does still have 9.5 minutes to try and recover that. But it's going to be very, very difficult to try and find his way back up onto the podium here tonight. Have a little glance over at Tommy for now. He's absolutely flying, 5.1 seconds ahead of the field. Interesting to see that on the 250 at least, sending the wall jump seems to be the way forward. At the very least, that's what the racing leader is doing up here in the EU Pro event. That step up just in front as well. I believe that's our first back lap bike of the moto. So it just shows how fast these fast guys really are. Pumpkinsu in P2. Looking to try and close that gap down. It's just 3.9 seconds. And now that he's got a little bit of breathing room between himself and Marshall, he's got an opportunity to try and close that gap up now. Let's see if he can make it work. We've got Marshall here then, of course, in the P3 spot currently, just ahead of Yoki, holding onto the podium. The cross jumping is wild. It is sometimes. But a lot of what looks like cross jumping, especially on like the TV cams, isn't technically cross jumping, and it's just blocking to pass, you know. But we do still obviously have some cross jumps. It is what it is. Why did no one race EU? I'm not 100% sure. I hope that NA gets a better turnout. But and hopefully, obviously, next week we should be back up and into our regular numbers. Hopefully, there's a lot of people running East. There is a lot of people running East, to be fair. But either way, you know. Yeah, I think it's probably something to do with the events this week, and obviously it's disheartened a lot of people. A lot of people are quite upset about it. And rightfully so, pissed off that their game, you know, now it's a pain in the arse to get mod sometimes. You know, unless it's a mod that everyone has, it's going to be a pain in the butt to get. And yeah, not ideal situation at all. So hopefully people start coming back soon once they realise the racing hasn't been affected, and we are still continuing. But yeah, regardless, we're having a nice time here regardless. And it's given the opportunity for some people who may not make it normally to give it a go, you know? Which is never a bad thing in my opinion. Oh, it's a knobhead. Heck yeah. Alrighty, it looks like Tommy's had a bit of a moment there while I was talking and not paying attention, and Pompikasu up and into the P1 spot now as we come into some more backlap traffic. An unfortunate situation there for the Suzuki. Well, it looks like Pompikasu and Tommy make it through without too much hindrance. We've got Senzo Galdron just in front. Looks like he's looking through there to acknowledge the blue flag. Taking a nice slow line through the corner. So hopefully allow the racing leader through. We'll see if he does acknowledge that blue flag. There we do. Stays all the way outside. Lovely stuff. Tommy then tucks his way super duper tight. Manages to get that really tight inside line. Not 100% sure it's worth it though. I think that central rut is a little bit more preferable, at least on a 250, because it allows you to get the drive down that straight. Senzo unfortunately getting collided with the... with who was that in front? Dirian? I believe it is. An unfortunate moment there. Or Ryan E. I have no idea what I meant to pronounce him. Whether it's Ryan E or Rian. I've been changing it throughout the night. We'll be alright there, we'll be alright. Pompikasu then absolutely storming through the whoops, as he has done throughout the majority of the moto. He's feeling very, very confident on circuit here tonight. Very nice stuff indeed. I'm not sure if this would be his first aerial win. Obviously, like, he did the heat earlier on in the night. I'm not sure if this would be his, like, first race win. I'm not 100% sure. I've not really been in the community long enough to be making career judgments like that. Looking good for Tommy though. He might be able to pull enough speed to catch up with the racing leader here. We're actually going to have a look at those lap times in the spirit of just being interested. In fact, we might not need to. We get very close indeed. Alrighty, here we are. 52.795 then from the racing leader Pompikasu, and a 53.3 on that previous lap, staying pretty consistent in a 52 to 55 range. A couple of minor mistakes will put you at a 55, but a good lap obviously still sitting pretty proud on the 52. We got Tommy here running a 53.8 on his best, but much more consistent in that mid-range. Again, having an unfortunate 59 there when we saw him go down and lose that racing lead. Marshall then holding 54.1, looking pretty nice as well, but certainly not got enough pace to be catching up with his racing leaders if those guys in front of him can stay upright. But he could still hold on to the podium provided he can stay nice and consistent. We know he's pretty solid on the defensive lines, so could be getting something special there. We've got Yoku here, currently P4, looking to try and get that podium. He's 54.0, so he's roughly 0.8 of a second faster on his best lap than Marshall is. However, similar situation, if the bike in front stays consistent, he's going to have a tough time catching up. You're on siege? What are you doing, man? What are you doing? You better be racing next week, Kako. How dare you? But no, very fun circuit this week anyway, in my opinion. CJ closing up onto the back of Yoku here. This is a fight for P4 here at the moment. And it looks like CJ might be able to get the position change here soon. And we'll check back up with Tommy. It looks like we've got a decent gap here to pump low. We're just going to leave that gap well enough alone for the moment and back on down with the fight for P4. You still have red plate? You do indeed, you do indeed. But yes, yes indeed. We'll get you though. Thankfully Senzo there. I think he actually backed up for like a tiny bit of a second there to allow Yoku through, which, if so, big fat W's. Big fat W's to the blue flag bike. He's got to allow CJ through here though as well, so hopefully not hold him up too much. CJ then tries to go down to the inside, then the outside, cuts his way across. Lovely stuff. Unfortunately gets the front tuck and collects not one but two lap down bikes. Deary me. Oh no, sorry, Sprocket's not a lap down. Sprocket is for position, sorry. My apologies. And JP KTM then having a pretty nice performance. I thought he'd fallen down through the field. I didn't see his name there. Oh ho ho! An unfortunate moment there again for CJ. Sprocket unfortunately getting collected in the process, so both bikes stay in the same positions. But not what you want to be seeing at all. Here we are then. Pompikasu absolutely storming here tonight. We might do a little lap with the racing leader before we go and search for some more little battles in just a moment. Yeah, Pump is absolutely storming. We'll at least follow him to the finish line. Why not? Who's it going to hurt? Smooth as we get up and onto the table there. Off the table, big old triple and single into the inside. That's your speedy line for the 250 by the looks of it. There's a little bit of a battle up in front of these guys for some lap down bikes. I believe it's these two. I believe it's Brad and Lauren. It is indeed. Mostra KTM then trying to close in onto the back of the KDR Husqvarna. That's a fight that's going on in the battle for P11. We have our racing leader Pompacassu coming up to lap them here at the moment. So hopefully we can get through without too much hindrance, but also without interrupting the blue flag bikes race, because of course you don't want to ruin their race just to get past. But of course you also don't want to risk losing the lead by doing stuff like that. Thankfully he gets back up nice and quickly. A very slow section of the track there, so the bike comes to a stop almost immediately and straight back up and on it. So we didn't lose too much time there, and ultimately it works out quite nicely. We get past Brad, and that's lovely stuff indeed. Lovely stuff indeed. Privateer Aquabad go hard next week. Deary me, Aqua. What's going on? Why have you left your team? No idea. Pump then. 11 seconds. Fantastic lead here towards the end of the moto. Just a couple of minutes on the clock. Well, a minute on the clock and then a lap or two. You kicked him? Fair enough, fair enough. I'm not going to get too much into the hows and the whys. But yeah, anyways, we'll leave it be. We'll leave it be, boys. No need to bring it into the chat. Anyways, having a nice time here with Tommy. He's unfortunately down into P3 now after making a mistake and allowing Marshall through. Certainly not what he was anticipating there after leading off the start. Definitely going to want to try and close that P1 position down once again, but of course there is a big 20-second gap there. So unless Pompacassu has some real big issues, he should be pretty clear. No worries, Aqua. Have a good night. Hopefully we catch you in the future weeks for the rest of the season. It'll be nice to see you on track again, eh? Let's clear the air before the river start. No worries, E. No worries. Alright. Pump then, looking nice and smooth. I keep kind of coming back to him because we've not got any particularly stressful battles here at the moment. We've got a couple of bikes on the lap down situation. We've got actually Sprocket and Glino having a nice little battle for P6. So we've actually got something quite interesting developing here. CJ makes it the battle for P5 as both go through for P5 and 6 respectively. CJ then down to P7 as a result. Down the inside he goes to try and block off Glino, but cannot get the bye. What a cheeky little pass there for both of the KTMs as they squeeze their way past CJ. Probably shredding right now. He's absolutely storming. An unfortunate moment there for the OGR KTM. Certainly not where he wants to be, especially not with just a couple of laps remaining. Tommy and Mika having an unfortunate moment there with the Husqvarna at the backpack. Certainly not great at all. For now though, we're going to chill with Pompacassu as we come up towards the oh dear as we come towards the closing stages of the race. Hopefully he gets back on the track nice and quickly. He's got a pretty hefty gap, so I don't see it being too much of an issue, even if he gets like a silly penalty. I don't think it'll matter too much, but that might matter. Oh no, this could not be happening. The adrenaline going through Pompacassu right now. His heart must be absolutely pounding. He has not got the time to be losing like this. Marshall actually a little bit further back than I thought he was, so maybe he does have a bit more of a safety net than I was anticipating. Got away with it, it turns out. As we come into the whoops for the final time here tonight for the 250 main. Looking very, very nice as we do so. A little bit of a tiny wall, but gets it straight back under control there. Bike pretty dialed in then here tonight. A little bit of a wheelie coming through the straight, down to that final turn, and up and over the finish jump we go. Lovely stuff indeed then from Pompacassu. Won the heat one and won the main event. That's a big W. We'll take that all day long. Marshall then on the Solitude Visuals KTM looking to close in and take that P2 position here. Just nearly misses the outside right there, but manages to hold it together. 17 seconds behind the leader there. A valiant effort for P2. Mika just ahead of Tommy. Tommy coming in for P3 then on the Privateer KTM. Lovely stuff indeed. 2 Privateers up at the front of the field there. And Yoku for P4. Sprocket then coming in for the JP team on P5. And we got CJ very, very close behind for P6. Not quite making it into that top 5, but very close indeed. Glino then is going to be taking P7 here tonight. We got HM battling it out between himself and a blue flag bike by the looks of things. So thankfully nothing too major happens between them, and we do manage to secure P8. It looks like Laurent Demeaux is going to take P9, and Mac Burder then picked up P10 a little earlier in the moto. Lovely stuff then for the rest of the field, but no, very, very nice racing here so far. So for your 250 main event here tonight, we've got Pompacassu in that P1 spot, Marshall for P2, and Tommy Wack for P3. We're going to check out these fastest laps here Have a quick little look. So the fastest 250 on the field is Pump, obviously there, with the 52.795. Absolutely storming here tonight on the 250. Brad there puts in a 53.2 as the next fastest on the field. A whole 4/10 there off the leader. But the top three within a second, always nice to see. We'll see if we can continue that theme throughout the rest of the night. We've still got 250 going on. No, sorry, my apologies. We've got 450 going on very, very shortly. So hopefully that can be... hopefully that's going to be just as nice a race. Maybe some slightly tighter battles. The power difference is going to be a little bit less between lines in corners. Down go the gates then for 450, the main event here tonight in Seattle. Coming down that OEM project, starting straight. Looking good for Neon. Unfortunately, a lot of bikes didn't manage to get their bikes stopped in time there. It's a very, very long start straight here tonight. And of course, they're carrying a little bit more speed than they might perhaps normally be used to. Kind of a lot of collisions there as well. A tough start from many, many riders. Tyler J, though, does break free at the front of the field. Stone Rider making it through as well into the main event on his own track. What a legend. Always nice to see him in the races. Tyler J and Jake then scrapping it out for P1 at the moment. We've got a little bit of a clump here going on between Aiden, Billy and Svepi. Billy unfortunately crashing out there. A lot of bikes to be avoided. And a lot of heavy traffic. Rigged! It's rigged, Swerve! He's been practicing. I think this is the first time he's made the main though this season. So he's been having a pretty rough start to the season. But he's doing quite nicely now, at least. That's what we like to see. Anyways, checking in with the TV cams, we got Tyler J. Still leads the moto by roughly a second and a half in head of Jake here on the AJP KTM, and just behind we got Dan White on the TSCZ KTM following in P3 currently. And some nice looking gear. Neon and JP Designs bike looking nice and smooth here behind as well, and Stoney currently in P5. Looking to try and improve here. We'll see how nice he hits the whoops here. He's had plenty of practice, so gets it done quite nicely. Gets it done quite nicely. I was kind of looking for an opportunity to take the piss. He's doing it right. See Stephen Collier be up front, right? Always nice, man, always nice. Puts in all that work on the track and then doesn't even get to race it most of the time. So yeah, at the end of the day, like, he's still competing against everyone else, and everyone else is also still fast as fuck. But we're having a nice time, we're having a nice time. Jake then kind of cruising here at the moment in that P2 position. Dan, unfortunately, not quite so much. I thought he'd saved it there for a second, but it turns out it was just a prolonged death. Stone Rider finds his way up and over past Dan by the looks of it. In fact, not quite. Tries to get down the inside of the TSCZ KTM. Can't quite pull it off, though. We've got Dorian there on the Mostra bike. Makes his way through and up into P5. Swapping places with Stone Rider then. Cheeky little pass then for him. Actually, sorry, I might have had to P4. Stone has P5. Certainly not ideal at all. Dan then currently on the P3 position, holding off the podium for the moment. We'll see if he can defend it from the Mostra bike just behind. Of course, he's been putting in pretty solid work throughout the rest of the season. So we're usually expecting Dan to be relatively consistent and of decent pace. Dorian having a tough moment there as his inside wheel, or his front wheel, sorry, catches the inside of the corner there. And just a little bit of a bump is enough to make it flippy around and just completely ruin your day, really. Here we are, though. Dan having a nice time. Currently holding off that P3 spot. Stoney in a fight between himself, Neon, and Linz. Linz and Neon try and make their way past. Looks like Linz gone off track a little bit there, and Neon down. Dorian, though, coming into the mix as well here. We've got an absolutely phenomenal battle as we're 3 wide through that hairpin turn. Back into this next rhythm section. It's going to be Linz takes the lead ahead of these guys in this particular battle. Of course, not the actual lead of the race just yet. We'll see if that happens a little bit later on. Still 6 minutes on the clock, so anyone's game. Stone here ahead of Neon. Looking nice and solid for the moment. We're going to check in with Linz. It looks like they've broken away here just a little bit from Dorian and Eurus, and it looks like he might be able to secure past Dan here as well, potentially after getting caught up in a lot of early race incidents. He's got some serious pace here tonight. Yeah, he's feeling very, very confident on the Husqvarna by the looks of things. Holding a very, very considerable pace. A little bit of a thank you there as he scrubs his way past Dan. To see the battles develop here towards the front of the field. This is currently the fight for P3 on the field. Dan makes his way back past Linz. A little bit of a wave thank you again, just for nice good sportsmanship's sake. Linz with a big triple out of the corner though, stretches the position ahead once again, back up onto the podium. Dan though with a slightly cleaner line into the corner, does manage to hold right onto the back of Linz. I thought he was going to just manage to slide up the inside there, but didn't quite manage to get the drive that I was expecting. Tyler already out front. Yeah, he's kind of just storming, you know. He's kind of just storming. He's done it a lot. We kind of expect this, you know. But there's some serious pace from some other riders here tonight, so hopefully we may see some things change a little later on. As of course yet to be seen. But if the rest of the season is anything to go by, then Tyler could be off to a pretty easy dubs here with getting some early air. Although with it being quite a short track, you come up on the back markers roughly around 9 minutes left on the clock in 250. So that's going to be roughly around like what 12 minutes left on the clock in 450. So he is going to come up on some traffic, and pretty soon, I think. In fact, he's in traffic, so my apologies. 15 minutes on the clock, and he's catching up with the back of the field. So it depends how clean he can get past the rest of these blue flag bikes. It's been hit or miss with lappers so far today. But of course, that definitely could come into play. We've got Jake here, looking nice and smooth on the AGP bike. AJ, sorry, my apologies. I always butcher the name of that team, but we're just gonna ignore it. He's having a nice time. Currently in the P2 spot. He's got 5 seconds to Tyler J. So he's closed that gap up just a tiny little bit there. But of course we do know Tyler's in some pretty hefty traffic at the moment. Jake's running pretty consistent, 51.5 there at the moment. We've got a 50.3 here from Tyler J though on his fastest second lap of the race. And a 51.6 there on a lap that he's having to fight his way through traffic on. We'll see what this lap finishes off at. A 52 there, coming through yet more blue flag bikes. Lynn's having some pretty hot laps as well here with a 51.2, unfortunately being collected by Valentin. Absolutely no idea what happened there. I'm not entirely sure if Valentin was actually, if he was like kind of crashed down or whether he drove across the whoops. Either way, not a super ideal situation there for the FXR rider. Luckily he doesn't lose the position to Dan, but he's lost the gap that he was comfortable with. And now has to try and reopen that and of course close back down to the racing leaders a little later on in the race. Still plenty of time to do so. But the more crashes like that, the more Tyler J can run away. And Jake is actually closing, like at a reasonably considerable pace as well. Lost just a little bit of time there, but overall still around a second up. Yeah, we could be seeing a battle for the lead develop here, so I'll have to keep a very, very close eye on his position throughout the rest of the moto. Here, looking to try and close up there. We're going to have a little check-in with Stone Rider, see how he's getting on. Currently in the P8 position, at risk of losing it to Jones 797 there on the MXB Mods Yamaha, ducking his way down the inside. Stone, though, gets the switch back underneath, manages to double in, but it looks like the Yamaha goes for the big triple. Doesn't go for the triple. That's very strange. I was kind of expecting the big line to come out of the Yamaha there, and it just didn't. Cam having a tough time there, as it looks like he kind of turned in to try and kill Stone Rider. Not entirely sure the motive behind that, or whether it was just a bit of a front tuck situation. Definitely sus. Having a nice time though, Stone holding on for that P7 position for the moment. We'll see if he can continue to hold it. I think it was actually Cam having a bit of an issue. Jake here into some real heavy traffic now. Unfortunately, going over the bars in the whoops as well is not going to help his situation here as he tries to close that gap between himself and Tyler J. Definitely not a good situation at all for himself. Tyler then presumably up to roughly 7 seconds now, I would imagine. Very, very hefty gap. Lynn still with 18 to the leader. Definitely going to have to pull something out of the bag here tonight. Look at this battle going on here though. We got Cam, Dorian, Aiden and Jones in a 4-way scrap. For I believe this is the battle for P7. Very wild indeed. How does it work when Stoney races since he made the Jackson? Does his points not count? I actually don't know. I would kind of just assume that he counts as any other rider. But, yeah. It's a difficult one to say, you know? Because, of course, he does test his tracks. And therefore has to ride them before. But I would imagine it counts. It's not like he's, like, topping the field every week, you know what I mean? I feel like if it got to that stage where he was like topping the field every week and grinding his own tracks to that point, then I would feel like maybe it shouldn't. But with how it seems to turn out, I think it's fair enough. Tyler J though, now with a 10-second gap, feeling more comfortable than ever here at the moment. A little bit of a case there as we speak about it, just because the commentator's curse is a very, very real thing. A little bit of a tough time there as we get a bit of a case there on the long line. Sound chicken there. Blue flag bike, looking to try and stick on with the racing leader and learn something about how we can get this lap done. Tyler J just absolutely rails the outside rut. That rut has basically become a wall run now around the outside there. It's very, very intense. Looking nice for Tyler here as he slams his way into the outside of the finish there. Looking smooth indeed. 10 minutes now on the clock. So plenty of time for things to change. And Jake is definitely closing that 10-second gap down. Now just 9.2, so 8 tenths over the course of the last lap in total. We'll see if he can continue to improve that. Thanks, Mayhem. Now I'm going to be just increasingly conscious about that. God dang it. As I always say, he is doing pretty nicely, to be fair. Currently holding on to the P7 position according to that timing gauge. He's got himself a bit of breathing room as well, front and rear, so he can really start cooking now and get those lap times in. He's got Cam and Stone Rider closing in behind, though, if he's not careful. So he really has to get that screw turned round. Stone and Dorian having a little bit of a potential battle developing here. The Mostra KTM trying to find his way past the Stone Rider. Going to be a tough position here. He'll hydrate. That's probably a good shout. Probably a good shout at this point in the motor. Cam and Aiden, I think, having a bit of contact there. Certainly not ideal for either rider. Cam there coming off much worse as he crashes and retires from the race. Not ideal at all. And the inside for Stone, and Dorian's going to get the position done there as we go for the big old triple for the Mostra KTM. Looking very smooth indeed. Stone, though, keeping a good pace onto the back. The inside and outside lines very well balanced on this circuit by the looks of things. Looking very nice indeed. Cam did retire indeed. It happens sometimes. It happens sometimes, you know. At the end of the day, you know, like, real life comes first. Sometimes you can't always beat yourself, you know. That's the problem. At that point, you're just fighting yourself, and it becomes very frustrating. Never again. You'll be fine. We'll see you back here on Monday for MXGP. It'll be alright, I'm sure. Also, have I got a mod in the chat? Can we give a shout out to Sword? I should have probably done that ages ago. Big W's to this guy. If you don't know, obviously Narvo's co-commentator for the Supercross, and of course host of the MXBGP for the NA series. Big fat W's indeed. I might just do it myself because my mods are apparently either lazy or deaf. It'll be alright, it'll be alright. Bada bing, bada boom. If you're not following Sword, get a life, go follow him. It's a nice time, it's a nice time. He's puts on a fantastic show, and puts in a lot more effort than I do, that's for sure. Nalvo's out tonight, sick. Unfortunate. Solo seat in it tonight then, Sword, eh? Be alright, be alright. You covered him for... Was it Daytona? It was Daytona. I had to remember there with my brain. It looks like Jake is struggling to catch up with Tyler J as Linz has finally managed to find his way up and into P2. We'll see if the timing gate updates that to give us any idea on penalties. I don't think Linz will be sitting on a penalty, but it's always interesting to find out here. It's currently showing in P2 there, so that looks like it's corrected itself. We are nice and smooth now, holding on for that position. It looks like it's starting to get cooking. A 50.853 there on the 11th lap of the moto there. 53 on that previous one, though certainly not too ideal. We've got a 50.3 there, obviously, from Tyler J. Still his best lap, and he's not managed to improve on that, running almost consistent 54s throughout the majority of his moto. And, of course, Lynn's putting in, again, pretty similar 54s and the occasional 52, just to spice things in. And, of course, start to close that gap down. 6.5 minutes, well, 7 minutes on the clock, sorry. And a roughly 10-second gap to close. It's going to be a hell of a feat if he can pull it off. We shall see, we shall see. Tyler J then coming up to lap Stone Rider here at the moment. Looks like he's made his way through then on the MXB Mods KTM. Nicely done indeed. That's what we like to see. No interruptions. Unfortunately, Jez is having a tough time. Thankfully, though, it does kind of part the seas for Jake there. And Jake can get on through without any major interruptions. And Jake can having a tough time there. Let's see if this gap is closing down between... Oh, no, that's... that's not going to help. That's not going to help. The commentator's curse strikes once again here. Deary me. Deary me. Looking smooth here, though, for Tyler J. He's going to be very happy to see that crash happen. And, of course, continue to open that gap up now. 12.5 seconds to the field. Not a concern in the world here tonight. Jake's looking alright here, currently holding on for that P3 position. An unfortunate situation there after having been overtaken by Linz. Not entirely sure what actually caused them to swap positions, whether it was a crash or just a nice racing overtake. Of course, Linz has been putting in some serious time here tonight. How am I seeing everyone's graphics? Because they send it to me, Ryan. So basically, in the ARL Discord, there is a Team Skin submission channel where you put it in there, and I download it. So they send it to me, and then I can see them. If I can't see it, they either haven't sent it to me, or they sent it to me packed wrong, so it didn't work when it went into the game. Or occasionally AMS, because a lot of the time I forget that the AMS things exist until I start my stream for you. You know, in the MX Bike game, going to shoot you a link for the mod tracks. Unfortunately, the mods website is experiencing some technical difficulties at the minute, Harrison, so it's going to be a little while before that. If you head to the HSM Discord, I'm pretty sure Falcon put an announcement up for Petch's Discord, where he did, or he's made a Discord to try and like temporarily have a place where we can all share mods again. That's the idea. But yes, hopefully the website goes up nice and smoothly. But of course, it's going to take a little bit of time to fix, so we just got to be patient. We got to be patient and appreciative. You're 16, not bad for you first. We will absolutely take it. We will absolutely take it. Not last is the key. Tyler J's having a nice little time here. 13.8 seconds at Linz. I think Linz is ever so slightly faster in terms of like his average lap. Tyler J though faster on his optimal lap. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. It's still got 4 minutes on the clock. It's not over just yet. And now Tyler J is actually lapped up to P5, which is kind of ludicrous when you think about it. And he's actually catching up to the back of Dan here, and it's not far off. That is very, very silly. Oh, to rob people or pilot a U-boat? I think we'll pilot a U-boat, mate. Yeah, I feel like we should give it a go. We'll use the engine assist though. It'll be alright. I still got the AMS to go, don't forget. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. This motor reminds you of last season's skills coming back from last and lapping until 7th. That was wild. That was wild. Yeah, I only really got the game like about halfway through this, like the Supercross season last year. So I didn't really see too much of the original stuff, unfortunately, because I was like super new in the community and just kind of doing my own thing. Didn't really know about the whole like pro racing scene at the time, you know. Lynn's there, having some tough times, as is Neon. Certainly not ideal for either rider there. Neon currently P8, Lynn's currently P2. Finding his way through there with 2.5 minutes to go. Having a little look. It looks like Jake is actually closing up with the back of Linz. We could be seeing a battle for P2 develop here in the pretty near future. Hakon around the outside of Stone Rider makes that lap pass work nicely. Dan here, scheduled to be lapped pretty much any second. There is Tyler J coming into the back of the field. Here he comes in on the MXB Mods KTM, and there goes the pass. This is EU, his NA? Yes. Skills Race is NA, that's why. So you got to wait till a little later on here tonight. I believe it's 8 PM EST it starts, or qualifying starts. So it'll probably be around like 8:30, 9:15 in Eastern Standard Time. Someone can yell at me if I'm wrong. I think Aiden was fighting for position there for just a moment. We got Dorian a little bit further off the back than I thought he was. Neon's just holding on to the back of Hakon here, holding on to a decent bit of pace. Of course, he's not doing badly at all. He's P10, but unfortunately, P5 is lapped. See, just a ridiculous situation. Ridiculous situation. Hacker bomb bargain. Deary me. Jake's been playing Siege all week. That's wild. As if he's been playing Siege all week with P2. Oh no! Lynn's had a disaster. That's how Jake's P2 again. Thought a little battle was going to start developing there between the two, but unfortunately it was a crash. Can't always get the battles that we look for, and unfortunately that's a second one. Over the bars we go. Really hoping to try and get back up onto that podium here tonight. It's going to be a little bit of a stretch though if we can pull that off. Hakon's going to be trying to run away as fast as humanly possible here. Tucking his way right down to the inside. Mega drive here on the 450s. Looking nice and smooth here for Hakon. He's keeping his bike as stable as can be at the moment. Let's see if he can continue to do so and hold on to that P3 spot for the minute. As soon as that says last lap, which it does now, we're going to hop on with Tyler J and have a little lap with the 450 racing leader here at EU and try and see if we can pick up the optimal 450 lines. For a bit of research here for the AMs and for the NA boys. I suppose not really for the AMs because the AMs are 250s, but you know what I mean. Tyler J then looking very, very smooth, as we've come to expect throughout the rest of the season, holding that red plate for a reason. And here he comes in and through the whoops for the final time here tonight. Very nice stuff indeed there for the MXB Mods rider. Big old wheelies and a little bit of a Poboso crash, just because why not? You've got to spice things up towards the end of the moto, don't you? Especially when you've got 25 seconds to P2. Across the line, though, we come for P1. Presumably a little bit less of a gap, though. And we shall see what that updates to as we come through towards the end of the lap here for Hakon. Tyler J, though, takes P1 for the 450 class. And Hakon presumably going to take P2, provided nothing major happens here at the last couple of turns. Looking nice and smooth, though, for the Ace Moto KTM. Nothing untoward. And across the line we come for P2 then for the Ace Moto rider. Lovely stuff indeed for Hakon, and Jake will round off the podium and be in the top three. That's exactly where he wants to be. Lynn's just a little bit too far away from grabbing that podium position back. An unfortunate situation saw him crash out of P2 and just couldn't quite get it back together in those last few laps. See, I think the gap was just a little bit too big, but yes indeed. Much love, Swerd. Much love. Have a good rest of your night indeed. I'm going to be checking in with the HSM Amateur Series here shortly. So for those of you that are interested in a little bit more racing, feel free to stick around and it'll be with us very, very shortly. They're currently in their qualifying stage, so I'm just going to kind of throw us in the edits and hang out.